First of all, we've seen you in the media quite a lot. Was this always something you were thinking about getting into the promotional side of boxing?
Yeah, it's always been. I always have been. I've always promoted my own fights. Haye Maker events have always been my promotion, my team. I've got a great team of people working behind the scenes, making sure these shows happen, making sure that my face is out there, my name's out there, and making sure they promote me. So it was a perfect strategic alliance to team up with Richard Schaefer, who's arguably he's the man behind Floyd Mayweather. He's the man who's promoted all of Floyd's fights since how long? Since
2007.
2007. So yeah, for 10 years he's been promoting Floyd's fights, and we all see how Floyd's name and brand is, up there shining. So if there was anybody I was going to team up with, it was that man. And I obviously saw what he did with Golden Boy Promotions, the CEO of that company. So it was just an easy transition. We both saw boxing and boxing promotion in the same way. We both believe we had the same ethos in terms of giving empowering the fighters, making sure the fighters who generated a big pot get the large majority of that pot. And the world of boxing is filled with murky characters who.
Do you want to name any?
But I don't want to name. There's no need to. I think people know who's who.
Let me take out my list.
It's a murky world, boxing. And in the 14 years I've been a professional, and I met a few. I met some good people in boxing. I'm not saying they're all bad. There's some great people. There's some good promoters, good managers, good agents, matchmakers. Television executives. There's a lot of good people out there. But a lot of the time, fighters, I personally don't believe, get a fair shake. They generate in huge pots, and they're not quite receiving what they're generating. And what we've set up is something very, very unique, very different. And we're looking at empowering the fighters, making sure that the future talent, with the experience of the 14 years I've been a professional, and Richard's experience, we truly believe we can take a fighter from the amateurs to a global pay-per-view superstar. I'm 100% confident. What about you?
Absolutely, and I
He's
think
done it already.
and I think what I wanted to do when I got back into boxing is to really build up a global platform like it has never been done before, because you have promoters who are very regional, sort of like captive to a particular country. There is the Carises in France, there is the Warrens and the what's the other guy's name?
Matchroom.
Yeah. Barry, not really Eddie. I mean, Barry is the guy.
Eddie's up front. Eddie's on the top table.
Okay. Anyway, so we have those guys, and then you have in the US, you have some guys. So it's like very regional. But what we really wanted to do is build up a global brand. Why? Why is that important? Well, if we sign a fighter here in the UK and we have access to the best TV in the US, we have now access to the best TV in France as well, and pretty soon in other countries as well, we have the eyeballs in those different other parts of the world to build these young fighters up very quickly as global superstars, and not just like regional or national fighters. And that's what we want to do. I mean, we need to keep in mind, if we sign a young British fighter, for example, the home market is here in the UK. It's important to build them up here, to build the fan base up here, to keep having them fight here. But it's equally important to maybe in the beginning to have them fight once a year in another place, be it the US, be it in France, be it in Mexico, wherever it is, and start building up that international acceptance for these young fighters.
David, when you at the press conference with Tony Bellew, ripped into Eddie Hearn, was that what you was alluding to, though, the fact that that setup, their framework, doesn't favour the fighter in the way that you're...
Listen, Eddie's been around for a little while now. He's done some good stuff. He's made some amazing events, some good shows. And good luck to him. But I'm focusing on my thing. I speak to the fighters. I don't just read press conferences about what the fighter thinks. I speak to the fighters directly, so I know how the fighters feel they've been treated, whether the fighter believes they're getting a fair shake. And fighters seem to trust me. They know I'm not aligned to any one promoter. So if a fighter's with a big name promoter, he feels comfortable to come and speak to me and says, David, have a look at my contract. I said I was going to get this, but I only ended up getting this. Why do you think that is? And so I kind of have their back a lot of the time, and I know a lot of fighters, and these fighters understand I've been through it and I've done it on my own. I've had the whole boxing fraternity hoping I fail at every stage. My last couple of fights, everyone was hoping they'd fall on their face, but we got great viewing figures, great attendance. It was a big, huge success. And fighters see me doing my thing outside of the usual network of the go-to guys in boxing, and they respect that. They respect I've done it my own way. And now that I've obviously teamed up with Richard Schaefer, the guys that we've talked to have that extra bit of confidence that not only am I going to do the right thing, but I've got the infrastructure around me to make sure we can not only make him a British success, but we can make him a worldwide global superstar, pay-per-view superstar. That's what we want to do. We want to take someone from their first professional fight and take them all the way through. It can be done. Between the two of us, we know more than enough to make that happen. We've both proved it in our own rights.
Is there a risk of saturation in the marketplace?
No, I don't believe so.
Fights?
There's enough fighters out there. There are many fighters who need a home, who need the right backing, and I believe the more promoters the merrier. I don't believe that there should be a monopoly with one promoter. I think multiple promotions are healthy for the sport. It's nice to, when someone comes to speak to us, they can then go and speak to 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10 different promoters to compare what they've got, and if someone else can give them a better deal, then I wish them nothing but luck, and I'll continue to give them advice, because I'm for the fighter. I'm not. If someone doesn't sign with me, I'm not hoping they lose. I'm wanting to fan their flame. I've made my money. I've done my thing in boxing. I've won my titles. I want to assist other fighters to do that myself.
We saw you on social networking with Eubank Jr. A couple other people as well, actors, Dizzy Rascal, chilling in Miami. Is Eubank Jr.'s path at the moment one that you're watching, in terms of, obviously they've got their deal with ITV, pay-per-view, that's thrown a spanner in the works for a lot of other promoters and stuff, opened it up for people like yourself. Are those the type of fighters that you're looking at?
Well, Eubank Jr., I believe, is one of the best British fighters who doesn't currently have a world title. Look at his fight against Billy Joe Saunders. I personally thought he won the fight. He didn't win the fight, but other than that, he hasn't put a foot wrong. And tactically, technically, his father, I had a good chat with his father a couple of days ago, who gave me some pearls of wisdom.
He does that.
Listen, Chris Eubank Senior, he knows his stuff. He really does know his stuff, and I believe he's got a plan for his son, and they're going full force ahead of it with their own thing. They're doing it their own way. I wish them nothing but luck and nothing but success in what they do, because he is, for me, he's a great fighter I think he's the only guy who can really have a chance to beat Golovkin in Triple G. I believe he's the only guy. So I think the British public should get behind him, support him, and assist him to whatever platform he fights on. We need to get behind it.
What do you make of the backlash they've experienced?
Who's this?
The Eubanks. From
the Eubank.
Is it just a normal part of the course?
It's part. Listen, I've had exactly the same thing. Right. Whenever a fighter takes his own path and doesn't sign with one of the big established British promoters, he's considered, he doesn't know what he's doing. I've had the same thing. I've never really signed with one of the big promoters in a long-term deal, and everyone said at every stage, he's never going to make it. He's going to fall. This is going to happen. The judges ain't going to score your fight. I've done it my own way the whole time, and if you can fight and if you can back it up, you can do it. As long as you win the fights, everything falls into place. If I was half as good as I was, and I needed some assistance and I needed this, I might not have made it. But if you're the real deal, if you can fight and win well, if you're world class, you will make it regardless of what network you're fighting on, who's your manager, who's your promoter, who's your matchmaker. It doesn't matter. In the ring, fights are won, and that's it. And Eubank Jr., I believe, does his fighting in the ring, and all of the pieces of the puzzle will come together, and people will probably celebrate his independent move rather than put it down. Yeah.
In regards to time frame, what are you looking at in regards to you announcing signings or fights, in regards to broadcast and your first show? When are we looking at stuff like that?
Before my next fight, we should have some solid signings. We should have some solid signings with some good young prospects. Richard's obviously going back to the States this weekend. We're gonna regroup again in Las Vegas at the end of the month. He's promoting 3 world title fights in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Carl Frampton Santa Cruz rematch. So it's exciting times ahead, and we should obviously got a few more meetings with a few fighters over there in the States. So in the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing some good news in terms of television network and fighters signed.
How are you dealing with this? You've got a big fight coming up, then you've got all this news coming out. You're working with obviously Richard Schaefer as well, looking at signing fighters, broadcasting, and your fight.
It's nothing new for me. I've always promoted my own fights. I'm used to juggling a lot of things. As I've got older, I've realised time management and how to structure my training, my day, to get the quality training, get the quality rest, and if there's business to do, I manage to have a time to slot that in. So time management is really important. In the past, I've kind of messed it up. I've done too much business and not enough training, or too much training and not enough business. I've figured out a way now, as I've got older, to get the most out of my day, where I don't schedule too many meetings in the same day, maybe 1 or 2 in one day, and I do the rest the next day. So it's time management, but don't think I'm taking this next fight not 100% seriously, because any fighter on any given day can slip on a banana skin, and I've learned that lesson in the past, overlooking my opponent. I remember in 2004 when I was fighting Carl Thompson, I didn't give him the respect he was due. I was younger, faster, probably punched a little harder. I was younger. I had all the advantages in my place, but the one thing I didn't focus on is punishing myself in training, is putting the hard work in behind the scenes. And I got my time management mixed up there. I got it wrong, and I wasn't in condition to put myself in a tough fight that I was in. So that lesson was learned then, so it's not going to come back to bite me in the bum again.
When are you filming The gloves are off?
We're doing that tonight. We're filming Gloves Off tonight.
Have you had any warnings from anyone?
No, I've put the warning out. I've told him that I don't want him in arm's reach of me in any way, shape or form. I don't need him close to me at all.
Sorry.
I need to make sure that the security is nice and tight, because I can't promise if he attacks me, I'm not going to break his face. I generally can't promise that. So make sure he stays well away.
Anthony Wheeler from Boxing Exposure here. What do you make of Tony Bellew this week saying that he demands an apology from you?
I'll give him his apology on March the 4th in the form of a right uppercut to his chin. That's the only apology he's going to get. Anyway, guys, I've got to shoot. Got to go and train now.